What's up? We got Arrow Season 3, Episode 12, Uprising. So, yeah, I could say this episode is way better than last time. From last time. Boy, was that episode bad. But I can say this episode is this episode's good. So, yeah. So, we get, so, yeah, so this episode, so we get, so yeah, so we see Black Canary and Arsenal fight, saving a guy from being attacked, and the guy's like, "Hey, isn't that red streak he's been hearing about?" And Roy is like, and Arsenal's like, "Wrong city." Flash references. Yeah. So then Black Canary shows up, aka Laurel, and like, why did I say aka? I don't know why I had to say aka. We know who Black Canary is. It's Laurel. I don't know why I had to say AKA Laurel. So we see Black Canary and Arsenal fight, and yeah. So we see Oliver, and he's still at Banana Parbat in that cabin because of course he is. Yeah. So we also get flashbacks to. We don't get Hong Kong flashbacks. We get Malcolm Merlyn flashbacks because the show really needed. Yeah. So we see Malcolm Merlyn 21 years ago when he was just a normal dad with a young son, with a young Tommy, and he found out his wife had died. Yeah. Yeah. So Merlyn is the. So yeah. So let me cut to her funeral where the only person there is Malcolm Merlyn. Because I'm guessing no one cared about her, only he did, so the only person at the funeral in the row. Yeah, young Oliver and Tommy are at the funeral for her, but in case of seating capacity, Malcolm Merlyn's the only one there, because the show just, so Oliver mentioned Tommy saying about how his mom says his mom's an angel now, but Oliver's like, but Tommy's like, he doesn't want his mom to be an angel, Ollie. He wants his mom to go back to being his mom. Oliver, why would you say it to Tommy? Tommy's going through a hard time, and you have to mention about how his dad said that his mom's an angel. Now. So we see Thea. Present day, we see Thea and Malcolm training, and we see so too bad we don't get a young Laurel in this show. We only get a flashback to what young Laurel was like when she was a kid. We only get to see young Tommy and young Oliver. So they should make a show where they all became. They should have shown us how they became friends. Because Laurel only became friends with Oliver after Tommy's mom died. So Merlyn reveals then Merlyn's watching. So they're doing a Brick, and it's revealed that Brick is the reason it's weird that when they're telling this to themselves, they say Daniel Brickwell, but they've been calling him Brick for the episodes. Why did they just immediately go back to calling him his full name? So they reveal that Brick is the real killer of Tommy's mom and Malcolm Merlyn's wife. So, and Merlyn's realizing that 21 years ago, he killed the wrong man. He killed the person that he thought killed his wife, but he didn't. He killed the person that he thought did, not the person that he thinks did it, which is kind of sad. So yeah. So Merlyn's like, hey, I'll help you guys catch Brick. I'll help you guys defeat Brick. But Felicity is kind of like, yeah, there's no way Oliver would ever agree to us teaming up with him. And he's like, hey, Oliver's gone. Oliver's away. There's no, how can we, Oliver's away. You really think that, Felicity really annoying me in this episode. I'm just like, Felicity, Felicity says about how there's no way she's teaming up with Malcolm Merlyn, and I'm like, Felicity, it's not about you, it's about the city. I guess Felicity cares more about herself and her friend than protecting the city from Brick. And they call themselves heroes. Because when they won, I guess Merlyn did kill Sarah, and he did put together the crosshairs of the League of Assassins. But wouldn't you guys want to look beyond that? Because there's a big villain wanting to take over the Glades, and Merlyn knows he killed his wife, so he wants to help you guys defeat the bad guy to save the Glades. But Felicity's just like, there's no way Oliver would agree to this, and I'm not helping you. Like, Felicity, this is not about you. Felicity, this isn't about you. This was never about you, Felicity. Felicity's making everything about her, which is not. So, anyway, back to the episode itself. Felicity's so Thea reveals that Merlyn saved her from the siege, and he tells him that, and he's like, yeah, Roy, there's no way we're working with Malcolm Merlyn. Come on, guys. If you don't do it, if you don't work with this guy, Brick's gonna take over the city. So Roy gets Sin in her final appearance of the series. Laurel gets Ted in his final appearance of the series. Yeah, this is Sin's final appearance in that entire series. The next time she appears is in video footage. So I'm sorry, but this was kind of a lame way to go for her. My other TV child had a lame way to go out. I'm going to tell you why it's lame later, but yeah. So Brick's like, oh, look who it is. It's the trick-or-treaters. and and Laurel says, Daniel Brickwell. Black Canary says, Daniel Brickwell. And Arsenal says, you would have failed this city. I know I did terrible disguise. Yeah, and also another thing. Quentin knows Roy is Arsenal. When Roy shows up, he's like, hey, Harper. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, you're the guy running around with the Red Hood and the arrows. But he can't figure out that his own daughter, Laurel, is the Black Canary. He can figure out that Roy's the Arsenal, but he can't figure out that Laurel's the Black Canary. Quentin is oblivious to anything. Quentin is really oblivious. He can't figure out that, he says that he figured it out from the hood and the arrow, but he can't figure out that Laurel's the Black Canary. Why? Why can't he figure this out? Because they want this show to annoy the audience? Because it annoys me that Quentin's able to figure out that Roy's the Arsenal. I keep saying arrow for some reason. Arsenal, but he can't figure out that Laurel is the Black Canary. He can figure out that, but he can't figure out the other thing. Obliviousness. Quentin is oblivious to everything going on in this city. So, yeah. Yeah, Ted doesn't even show up for the fight, I don't think. I think he shows up in one mask and gets beaten up by Brick, and that's it. That's it for him. He shows up, gets beaten by Brick, and that's it. He doesn't, that's it for Ted. Bye-bye, Ted. See you never in the show again. Bye. How could you do that to the guy? He doesn't mention that he knows that Laurel was the one that is in the blonde wig, so he can figure it out, but Quentin can't. How does that make any logic? He can figure it out, but her own dad can't? Wow. They're really writing Quentin as dumb, because he can show that he knows that Laurel's the one fighting in the suit and with the blonde wig, but Quentin can't. He still thinks it's Sarah. Wow, Quentin's been written as a dumb guy, isn't he? And he's not dumb. He's really smart. But if two people, if Ted, yeah, even Sin doesn't know. Sin still thinks it's Sarah. If Sin there's a later scene where Sin shows up and she's writing, and Laurel's writing with Roy, and she's like, Sarah? Yeah, and then Sin's like, hey, Sarah's back. He can tell me Sarah's back. And he's like, that's what we need to talk. Yeah, we need to talk. So if Ted can figure out that Roy, if Ted can figure out Laurel's Black Canary, why can't Quentin figure out that was the Black Canary. Show consistencies. You gotta hate them, or you gotta love them. I don't know the saying. So yeah. So I'm just saying, if Ted Grant if Ted Grant can figure out, even though he hasn't been, I don't know how long it's been since he quit writing Laurel, he just shows up, gets beaten by Brick, and then leaves. Bye, Ted. See you never. Your exit is kind of pointless. They kind of didn't need you for this fight. You just show up in a mask and then just get beaten by Brick and then just leave. That's all you exist to the show. You could have been removed from this episode and it would have done nothing to the premise. I like Ted. He's a cool character. But his return kind of brings nothing to the show. He doesn't even get one single fight in. He tries. He gets beaten by Brick, I think, and then he just leaves. Like, that's it. That's Ted. Bye. That's Ted. Bye. Like, come on. You could have done more with the guy. You could have done more with the guy. You could have given him his own suit you could have given him his own suit. But no, you don't. You just say you have him. Yeah, I feel like this was a disappointing return for the guy. Ted Grant's return is disappointing. He had more better in the 2 episodes he appeared in than his final. He had more things to do in this episode, in the last 2 episodes he appeared in, than in this episode alone. His final appearance is disappointing. Yeah. So, yeah. But anyway, back to the fight. So, yeah. So Merlyn corners him, and he says, he killed his wife, and he's like, oh yeah, he did, for a spot in a gang, and he's like, really? You killed his wife to be in a gang? And then that's when Oliver shows up. Yeah, the Arrow shows up saying, hey, don't hurt him, and he's like, it's but this is the guy that killed his wife, and when you kill someone, it takes a part of their soul. And he's like, if he would have just taken him out years ago, the undertaking, Tommy's death wouldn't have happened. And he's like, if you don't do it for yourself, then do it for Thea. Yeah, Oliver just shows up out of nowhere, and everyone sees. So, yeah. So Oliver reveals Thea to himself. Thea, saying that he was just in Bloodhaven, and his excuses, he was in Bloodhaven and went to jail. So, yeah. So Felicity finds it. Oliver's like, hey, I'm working with Malcolm Rowan now. And Felicity's like, wait, what? How dare you, bro? How dare you work with that guy? Yeah, but Felicity says she said just an hour ago, she swore herself that he would never work with Malcolm Rowan. Remember that? They're reminding us of that. And yeah, so she needs some air, and he's like, what about some air? Do you not understand? And he's like, are you mad? And she's like, remember when you told me that you... Yeah, and she's like, now you want to work now you told her before you went off to fight Ra's al Ghul that she loved him, that he loved her. But now he's coming back to say that he's working with Malcolm Rowan, who killed... Yeah. Who killed the sister of the woman that you're supposed to love. Who's a sister who had Thea killed the person that you loved, who killed the person that you said you loved. But Felicity doesn't want to be the person that he loves and leaves to end the episode. Oh boy, this episode was great. But boy, did Felicity get on my nerves. I get it. I get it. She doesn't want to be in this relationship with Oliver because the writers keep flip-flopping between if they want them to be together, if they want them to be apart. They keep doing that. But I'm just saying, I am just saying, the show cannot make up its mind. It wants Oliver and Felicity to be together 1 minute, then Oliver reveals that he wants to work with Malcolm Rowan, then Felicity's like, nah, I don't want to be with you anymore, so they can push her and Palmer together, even though I don't care about Ray. And I just this episode's great. But yeah, Sin also shows up at the end and says, and shows up to Quentin and he was like, hey, how's Sarah? And she's like, the woman in blonde. That's not Sarah. And he's like, who is it? And she was like, I don't know. That's why I'm talking to you. And that's Sin's last speaking line. It's lame. It's lame. That's her last speaking line. It's lame. It's just a lame line. She can't just come back and like, that's her last line in the entire show ever. That's why I'm talking to you. Like, why? Why do they gotta get rid of her? I get Ted, because Ted doesn't own anything in the show, but Sin's been there since season 2, and this is her, and she hasn't been seen since Seeing Red, and her final appearance is just, her final line in the show ever is, that's why I'm talking to you about. He's like, that's not Sarah. And he's like, who would it be? And she was like, I don't know. That's why I'm talking to you. That's a lame line to give to an awesome character like this. I'm sad that Sin's final episode came with a disappointing end to her character. Just like with Ted, Sin's just gonna walk off, never appear to this show again. I don't know why I kept saying, but Sin has a disappointing end to this show. My other TV child has a disappointing end to the show. Ted is just, he fights Brick, gets defeated, and leaves. But Sin is just, yeah, I'm done. I like this episode, but I just can't with these two characters. Ted is okay to leave, but how could you do that to Sin? But anyway, that's it for the video. I'll see you next time when we review more Arrow.